Hey consultants, my name is Aisha Dolly. I'm a managing director in Eden Prairie, Minnesota, and I'm here to chat with you today about time management. Time is something that we are all short of. Everybody's time starved. We hear it from our teams. We hear it from prospective consultants. We hear it from everybody. And no matter whether you work full-time in or outside of the home, whether or not you have a job outside of the home, doesn't matter, we're all starved for time. So I'm here today to help you with some time management tips and share a little bit about some things that have worked for me. To give you a little bit of background, I work full time. I have a 20-year career in advertising sales, and I have 11-year-old twins who are in 6th grade, a boy and a girl. They're in lots of activities. I exercise. My husband and I are super social. So you can imagine that we're very, very busy, and I really didn't have time to take on a second job in my life. I didn't have any time for Beautycounter at all, and I didn't ever imagine that it would grow into something this significant, but I've learned a few things over the past 3 years that I'm excited to share with you today. So the first and number one tip that I have, we hear about it all the time, but not everyone necessarily implements it, and that is time blocking. Time blocking is first figuring out how many hours a week you can dedicate to your Beautycounter business. It needs to be a minimum of 2, and it can be as many as 25 or more. It doesn't matter, but you need to start with at least 2, and then you need to look at your calendar for each week and figure out where those hours are going to fit in. And when you schedule them, make them in an appointment just like anything else, like a doctor appointment, like a workout, like a work meeting, whatever it is, you're going to keep that appointment and dedicate that to your business. If things get moved around because life happens, then just be sure and reschedule those hours, because while they are flexible, they are absolutely not optional. What I like to do is I like to color code my hours. My Beautycounter hours are purple, and that way I can look at my week's calendar and figure out if I'm dedicating enough time to my business. And then after you've color coded and put in your hours for the week, you're going to want to allocate them to various activities. And it's very important that the bulk of your hours be dedicated to revenue generating activities. Revenue generating activities are face kits, socials, one-on-ones, and recruiting. Okay. I think that it's also important to put a little bit of training and education in those hours. I like to listen to coaching calls, and I like to listen to Bob Heilig. I listen to him in the morning while I'm getting ready and during my commute. But you can factor that all in. But the bulk of your hours should be dedicated to revenue generating activities. Beyond time blocking, the number one tip for really saving time is to develop a habit. You've probably heard that it takes 30 days to create a habit, and I really believe that. But even if you only have 2 hours a week, then put in 2 hours every single week, because there's no bigger time waster than trying to start from scratch. And once you're going, you start to pick up some momentum. And if you stop, then you're having to use that much more energy to restart all the time again. And that is a time waster, so you use the law of physics, use it in your favor, and capitalize on the momentum that you're able to develop if you're doing at least 1 or 2 things for your business each and every day, or you're dedicating at least 2 hours each and every week. Create a habit. And then tips for doing this on the go. I have a lot. I've had to do a lot on the go. If you have a team, I think Voxer is a game changer. I Voxer my team all the way to work and all the way home, and they all know it. But that's where we do a lot of our communicating. And there's a lot to be said for being able to speak verbally to someone as opposed to email or text. And not always having to arrange a time to call one another. So Voxer is huge. Another thing is just classic do not procrastinate. If I think of something, I'm going to try and do it right then. If I think of a client that I need to follow up with, I'm going to quickly try and follow up with them right then. You don't always have to arrange a time to sit down and do it. Just send the text. You're waiting for a meeting, or you're about to go in and get groceries, or whatever it is. Just like quickly, it takes 2 seconds. Just do it now. If you think of it, do it now. My dad used to say, quit lollygagging. Let's just do it. Let's go. No block of time is too small. So even if you have 5 minutes, you can do a lot in 5 minutes. I can do a lot of personal reach outs in 5 minutes. And I think that that's one of the most effective things that you can do with limited amount of time. If you do personal reach outs via phone, text, email, whatever your methodology is, Facebook Messenger, but personal reach outs they get high return if you ask me. Dropping off a face kit, calling someone and following up with them, doing the 222 method, calling someone, contacting them within 2 days of them placing an order, making sure that they're happy with it, to within 2 weeks to make sure they received everything and that they're liking their products, and within 2 months to see if they need any reorders, and to make product recommendations. So follow-ups are huge. You can do a lot of follow-ups in 5 minutes. Beautycounter lunches. I have grown my business working full-time, doing Beautycounter lunches. If you think about it, that's 5 hours a week. That's 5 Beautycounter hours right there, which is more than what they used to say it takes to be manager. They used to, the old school Beautycounter in the beginning said 2 to 4 hours a week for managers is what most managers put in. You're putting in 5? You can go for manager or you can go for senior manager. That's a lot of time right there. And it's really effective. You can drop off a face kit. You can do a lunch hour social. You can do a one-on-one. You can go have a recruiting conversation with someone. You can do a lot over your Beautycounter lunches. And I think that's really valuable time. Another tip is to have 30 conversations. 37 is even better. 30 conversations a month, one a day. We can all have one conversation about Beautycounter every single day. It's all someone has to do is say, how are you? And you have an opening to bring up Beautycounter. Listening to training calls, as I mentioned, while you're getting ready in the morning, during your morning and afternoon commute, while you're making dinner, all of those times where you're folding laundry, you can have training calls and coaching calls on in the background so that it doesn't carve this big chunk of time out of your schedule. You can hammer out a mass email to your database during your kids' soccer practice. Mine are old enough to drop off now, so I go drop them off. I can run home. I hammer out a mass email and have it ready to send the next morning, and that's time well spent. Scheduling Beautycounter hours for every single initiative that HQ pushes out. So if they push out a BOGO, you're going to dedicate time to do personal reach outs and possibly a client email or whatever, calls, whatever, centered around that initiative. If they are going to foot the bill on some sort of promotional offer, then take advantage of it. Make sure that you dedicate some time to every single offer that they push out. There's also something called power hours. If there's an hour in your schedule that ends up freeing up that wasn't originally planned, we all have those times when someone cancels on us and secretly we're happy. Like, yes, you canceled. I've got an extra hour. You can do so much in one of those hours. You can do a total power hour where you hammer out a ton of follow-ups, or maybe you deliver 2 face kits, or you come up with your own promotional offer and you reach out to all your Band of Beauty members and you say, I've got a special offer just for you guys. I'm going to do a grab bag promo. I've got extra product laying around my house. If you guys each do an order of $100 or more this week, you get first come, first serve, pick from my grab bag. Something like that you can accomplish in an hour that's absolutely going to generate revenue. You can make a product recommendation in every client follow-up email, and that's efficiency. You can respond to client or consultant emails or texts the same day. I don't know about you, but if I don't respond to someone the same day, chances are that email is going to get buried, and we don't want that to happen because we want to be providing superior client service. If you have limited time, as I mentioned in the beginning, use what little time you do have on revenue generating activities. Don't worry about Facebook. Don't worry about your Facebook page, your business page, your group page, your personal page. Don't worry about organizing your desk. Don't worry about what's taking place behind the counter. Don't worry about Bob Hiley training video. Don't worry about any of that. If you truly only have 2 hours a week, then that time should be spent on revenue generating activities, period. Plan your work your plan. And then beyond that, I've got a few extra time-saving tips that I just want to share with you, and I'm just going to kind of rattle off a bunch of random things. Some of them I do, and some of them I haven't had time to implement yet. So here's just a good list for you to get started. Shipping easy, printing labels, saving clients and teammates info, scheduling pickups, creating a shipping and postage setup at home so that you're not always running to the post office. I think this is sounds going to sound funny, but getting plenty of sleep. Getting plenty of sleep is key to being productive. If you have limited time, don't let your sleep be the thing that suffers, because if you're well rested, you're going to be twice as more productive. Acuity scheduling, an online scheduling system that you can use with your team so that you're not wasting time going back and forth, figuring out what time works for you. Doing Zoom calls with your team is a time saver. Mobile bank deposits. You're going to laugh at this, but I've deposited checks at the bank and the ATM my whole life, and I have never deposited a check using the app on my phone just by taking a picture of the check. It feels really funny to me, and I did it for the first time just a couple of weeks ago, and then I was asking my friend Tara, I'm like, what do I do now? And she's like, you tear up the check. And I'm like, she's like, make sure it went through, check your bank. But I'm like, really? That, like, I just took a picture of it through the app. Are we sure it's in my account? It's the weirdest thing, but what a time saver. I'm totally going to start doing that. Evernote is a tool that helps you keep notes and helps you, it's an organizational system. It's kind of like how some people use Trello. I haven't personally used Evernote, but I know that there are other consultants out there who swear by it. So Evernote, Facebook scheduling. If you have a business page, you can schedule your Facebook posts in advance. You can schedule 1 to 2 posts a day. I wouldn't recommend any more than that, but you can sit down for 1 to 2 hours at a time and schedule a month's worth of posts. And that's a huge time saver, because you don't want to waste time doing Facebook posts. You just don't. And I think that group pages are rolling out an online scheduling system as well, although I'm not positive. They may have already done it, I'm not sure. Coaching and or training and or personal development calls during the commute, like when you're getting ready, making dinner, I mentioned before. Using database tools like Smore, MailChimp, and Constant Contact. Those are all big time savers. Using Trello, using Voxer, using flyers and templates to avoid recreating the wheel. For my team, we noticed that there were a lot of things not covered in the onboarding process behind the counter. So I created an onboarding flyer for my team that basically is like between 3 and 5 calls and or meetings with your new consultant. Here are all the things that you should cover. We want to make sure that you address taxes with them and that taxes are not withheld. They need to be saving for them. We want to make sure that we touch on Leadership Summit and the importance of attending Leadership Summit. We want to make sure that we show them how to set up a social and how to enter an order and how to do a return and all those little things. But you really need to spend time onboarding your consultants. And if it's something that's going to be repeated over and over again, it's nice to have a flyer and a guide. My whole team uses that flyer. We also have what's called a resources flyer, which is filled with videos and links and articles and training materials from things that we found ourselves trying to find all the time. Like, where's that face kit guide that Morgan Rasmussen created? I remember seeing it on the Team Happenings page, but I can't find it right now. Well, I put it in all this stuff in one document and everything's linked. So it's all right there. It's been a huge time saver for my team. So if there are things like that are going to be repeated over and over again, put it into one document. If you're going to be writing a personal email to all of the new new clients that you've acquired each month as a result of compression, then maybe write a template so that you don't have to recreate the wheel on the first of every month. Maybe on the first of every month, you send out a mass email introducing yourself to all of your new consultants. You want that to just be a template. Make it be quick and easy. You're not rewriting that every single time. Coaching videos like what we're doing now are a huge time saver. Gifting guidelines. If you have a larger team, establishing a set of gifting guidelines and promotion gifts that you and your other leaders are going to implement so that you don't have to figure it out verbally or by email every single time the need arises. There's something called TaskRabbit. Following the 80-20 rule, spending 80% of your time on the 20% of your team that generates the most revenue or that's the most active. 20% of your revenue comes from, the 80-20 rule. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that, but spending 80% of your time on the 20% that are going to get you the best results. Focus on your 3s. So when we send out an email to our whole team that says, are you a 1, a 2, or a 3? 3s want extra coaching and support. They've got goals for their business. Focusing your time on those people as opposed to the 2s who are good. They don't want extra help. They're good where they are. Or the 1s who might plan on compressing. So getting support and help from your family is a huge time saver. It just is. My daughter helps me. My husband understands my work hours. We're all one team. Setting your alarm on coaching calls. having a positive attitude. This is something that isn't a tangible, obviously, but I'm going to tell you something that we're all busy, but if all you do all day is talk in your head about how busy you are, like, I'm so busy, I don't know how I'm going to get this done, I don't know what I'm going to do, I don't know how I'm going to do this. If you keep saying that, you're not going to get it done. You're self-defeating already. Tell yourself that, like, you know what, I can do this. And it's just Beautycounter. Even if this is your job, there is no end to the amount of work that we could do with Beautycounter, so you've got to cut it off at some point each day. Each day you've got to say, that's it, I'm done for today, because there's always more we could do. But if you keep talking to yourself, saying you're not going to get it done, you're not. I tell myself every day, I'm like, I'm going to get those videos done. I'll do it, sure. And if I don't, I'll do it the next day. I'm not going to try and stress out about it. I'm not going to freak out about it. I believe that I can. I believe that I can accomplish my goals. I believe that I will. And if you keep telling yourself that, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So really pay attention to the way, your internal dialogue and the way that you talk to yourself, because attitude is half of it. Well, it's most of it. It really is. Consistency, as I mentioned before, is the biggest time saver. And then I'm going to give you a quote from Gina Murphy that I really, really believe in. Empower your family to be your team. When I do coaching calls with consultants, I hear so many consultants say that they don't necessarily have the support for their team, or they haven't really had the conversation, or support from their family, or they haven't really had the conversation with their husband. Like, they're so busy with the kids, and every night, the night gets away from them. And I'm like, okay, have you sat down and talked to your husband about where you want to take this and the hours a week that will take, even if it's just 2 or 3, but if you had that conversation with him and said, can you give me Wednesday nights? Just one night, can you give me Wednesday nights? Or can you give me Sunday mornings? Or would you be okay if every Saturday morning I went to Starbucks for 2 hours? Would you be okay with that? And if you have the conversation and you come up with a plan together, then it's all going to be good. Or maybe every Thursday night you're making social plans with prospective consultants. If Thursday night's your night and you and your husband agree on it, that's going to be a huge time saver, and it's going to be better for your family environment, and it's going to be better all around. So that's a huge thing. I hope that you guys found some value in this and that it helped, and I will talk to you soon.